Okay, hi everybody. Today is Tuesday, October 20th. We are going to have our team call, and Lisa Bento is going to be our guest speaker. And I did want to just start out the call letting everyone know that the Fall Classic is just another little friendly competition. You can have 3 people on your team, and you can find anybody. It could be anybody on anybody's team. They don't have to be even in your direct downline. I know Diana has posted a few openings on some of her teams. My team is full, but I would love to have all of you get on a team. It just has to be 3 people. You can only have 1 diamond on a team, but you don't have to have a diamond. So if you want to get together on getting some teams together, I can post tonight. I actually saved like what you can win and all that stuff. So I'll post that stuff tonight. So I am going to let Lisa get started here. And I'm going to mute myself. And you guys, if you are able to on the computer, there's a little chat button there. And you can ask questions. And I'll try to keep an eye on that. If anybody else sees it pop up and I don't notice it, just go ahead and read the question out. Just unmute yourself. Otherwise, I think Lisa should be able to see it too. So I'm going to mute myself. And now Lisa can take over.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Lisa Bento. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to figure out how to get my PowerPoint running. I did a little run through earlier and it was successful, so I hope I can figure it out again. All right, so if you would give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the slideshow. Good? Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Lisa Bento, and as you're seeing from the PowerPoint below, I'm a Think Bigger coach for Harmony Meditation Center in Westfield, New Jersey. I'm a mom of twins. I'm a teacher of high school mathematics and a Beachbody Emerald coach, and I'm working toward receiving my next rank, hopefully very soon. So I wanted to share with you on this team, because I consider you guys very, very supportive and encouraging, and I feel like it's time for me to open up with you all a little bit, my story and how it helps me be a bigger person and coach, and how it can help you do the same. So I plan on sharing some things with you about my personal struggles and some of the things that I found out through struggling through them. And here you see my 7-year-old girls there. So my story, my why I started has to do with my daughters. There they are, very, very young. My ultimate goal is just to progress for better quality of life and to be bigger. And I mean like bigger, like I have some big goals. I have multiple jobs, I wear multiple hats, but my core is toward this progress. As long as I keep progressing, it keeps me happy, it keeps me healthy, and I want to keep doing that. The other thing I'm noticing about my core is that it helps me handle customer or coach objections. And it keeps me focused too, some of my own objections. So I can ask others, and you'll notice a lot in these slides, I bring up myself a lot because I do, I have learned certain strategies in meditation about handling myself. And I use those same strategies with other people too, because I find that pretty much we're all the same when it comes to motivation and wanting to progress in this way, I think. So I ask myself, or I ask people, do you want to progress? Generally, they say yes, but sometimes they're not ready. So I ask them things like, is this going to lead toward a better quality of life for you? And would it be more short-term or long-term? If so, I can help you, because this is what I do every day. Literally, I sit down and I think about how I can progress closer to my goals Is it really something that I want for myself in the long term? And these are the kind of conversations I have with people all the time as well, because I'm doing it with myself. So I've kind of trained my pattern of thinking this way. So it's very natural for me to talk to people like this. And sometimes they're more uncomfortable with it than I am. Some days are better than others, though. And that really depends on how busy I am, and I can get off task. And that is part of my struggles with some of my neurological functioning too, because of my disability. Overall, however, progress is being made towards better quality of life for me and others. I have found what works for me through my own progress, and I'm extremely confident in what works and what doesn't. It's pretty apparent. I'm ultra sensitive at this point, and I can narrow down, okay, this is not working, I need to change it, or yes, this is definitely working. When is a good time for me to follow up with you? This is something I learned through a professional development book called GoPro. It was suggested to me on one of the Lead by Example posts, and I thought it was fantastic because this has changed the way I talk to people. I always ask for a follow-up time before I end the conversation. So even with myself at times, if I feel like I'm not ready to answer, I always have a piece of paper with me and I write stuff down and I'll keep it aside for later. Even when I was putting together this PowerPoint presentation, it took me a couple of weeks to put it together because I want to be well prepared for you. I want to make sure I'm focused and organized. And I would have random thoughts during the day. I would just write them down and I would put them together later. So if it's not something that's going to lead toward progress, I can sometimes still devote some time to it later. But when it comes to other people, I suggest that maybe I can still help them in some way. Just by being respectful toward their choice, supporting them in some other way. And generally, I think it leads towards a better quality of life to develop more friendships that way too. We can have a difference of opinion. We can do different things with our lives, and that's fine. So then I asked them, do you know of anyone looking for these kinds of services that I provide, and would you refer them my way? I even go so far as to ask them how they would do that, and I would make sure that they know a way that they could reach me if they didn't have it already. And when do you think you'll do that is a follow-up question. So I make sure to follow up with them, even though they may not want to hear specifically from me about the services I provide. I can still say, well, you know, have you referred that person like you said you were? And I don't see it as a nagging kind of thing. They told me they were going to do it. So when I see them sometimes in the hall or out on social events, they'll bring it up to me. They go, oh, I forgot to do this. And I think that's fantastic. All right, so where did I start? I want you to notice my before and after pictures here. Now this is way pre Beachbody. This is my wedding photo, and this is like last summer. And this is basically my story, general though. I don't share my very personal story with people, and I think that's because there are some disadvantages that I found to that. If I give too much detail, it turns people off. So I think being more general has worked for me, especially in the beginning, to warm up to people if they don't know me so well. And I've kind of started to memorize what's written here. And I plan on using it in videos, and if I ever do a presentation like I'm doing now, I plan on sharing it in this way too. And this was also another strategy I learned from GoPro. He says that there was a certain intro that he would consistently use and memorize, and I thought, duh, that's fantastic. And it should be something I think that relates to your core if you're gonna be using a strategy like this, because then it's easier to off the cuff, add some personal touches so that it's not so robotic, even though it's memorized. So at some point, this recording will be available and you can go through and read it if you haven't already, but I didn't plan on reading this to you guys. It's just generally my feelings of focus and determination so that I could provide a better life for my children before there was really bad memories for them to remember. So when they were first born, I was diagnosed with a neurological disorder. And I felt as though it was horrible, because I was already feeling bad, but I found there was no cure, and possibly maybe I wouldn't be able to work or take care of myself or my children the way I had always planned on doing. So things took a big turn for me at that point when I realized that this was more serious than maybe just, not feeling well, or a lot of the doctors in the beginning told me maybe I was depressed. But I got my tushy off the floor as fast as I could, and I realized that I didn't want that to happen, so I needed to do something. So that's basically how I use my story to help me be a bigger person. I tell people that even though I was dealing with illness, and a very rare illness at that, I didn't let it hold me down too long. It was really frustrating, but I liked having a name for it because I was feeling the symptoms anyway. And I liked being able to look things up and figure things out. Because I'm a mathematician by trade, I treated it like a problem, like a math problem. I really did. I found out all the variables and all the ways that people address the different concerns. And I tried to literally increase my probability of success by following what the experts were doing, which is kind of the same thing that Beachbody suggests we do anyway. So in a lot of ways, Beachbody really, for me, represents what people should be doing anyway. And it was funny when I first started following Dora and asking her, she's my upline coach, about what she was doing. And then I later started learning about how to be a coach and what your 3 vital behaviors are. I was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm doing anyway, which was blowing my mind a little bit. So becoming a coach with Beachbody has become not an additional job. It was something that I was doing anyway, other than the push for inviting and being more specific towards Shakeology and the products that are offered. I felt like it was a really good segue into maybe possibly taking advantage of the income that Beachbody offers. So generally, I was already doing this. I still am a little bit more directly, though. I have a lot more strategies now, thanks to all the training with Jen and with Dora and with the videos that are available online. But generally, I build trust with people. I share my story if I feel like I'm going to be able to trust them, and they can in turn then maybe trust me a little deeper. I build nurturing personal connections with people, and I get this from being a mom and a teacher. All my training through college has always been through education, even though it was math related. And you learn that you need to treat people with respect so that you can get respect back, especially with children. They're a lot more sensitive. I build respect for myself first, and then with others. I found very recently, mostly because of my illness, that I give myself away a lot easier than I should. And I've been correcting that. And now I try to keep myself a little bit better protected, and I demand more of people than I did in the past. I create a higher quality of everything that way. When I do protect myself, when I respect myself first, people tend to just kind of do what you demand of them. I'm not nagging. I'm just saying, if you want to create a mutual relationship with me, then this is what I expect from you. I tell myself all the time, I am never going back there, ever again. I was sick. I was not feeling well. There were times where I didn't have energy to stand. I would shake standing because I couldn't physically do it. And I think part of that was because I was such a giver, and I was giving more of myself than I should have. And even though I wasn't feeling well, I wasn't taking care of myself. And it got to a really bad extreme, and I will never, ever, ever do that again. Not for anybody, because I need to take care of my family. And moms hear this all the time. You have to take care of yourself first. So some disadvantages that I brought up already about talking about my illness. When you say things like disability, or the neurological disorder I have is called narcolepsy, people have a certain preconceived notion about what that's like or what it is. And there are lots of jokes made in general about things that they're not familiar with. So labels are limiting. So I wouldn't really say that abruptly to somebody if I was just meeting them for the first time, but I can give them a general sense, you know, I've been sick and I've been fearing losing my job because of it and things of that nature, to start a conversation if I feel like it's appropriate, so that they know that I can relate to whatever scenario they're dealing with. When I talk to healthy people in general, this is really interesting, and I run into this with family members sometimes. They don't believe it can happen to them, so it's really hard to relate to me when I bring up an illness, a serious, like what I have. The closest thing they've ever had is like a flu, and they know it's uncomfortable, but it's kind of like, oh, suck it up, you know? And they don't really understand. So this is another disadvantage. The other thing that happens, it alienates me. If they start telling other people that I have some kind of disability, that can often make me seem like an outsider. So those are the disadvantages. And those are very small in number compared to the advantages that I've found. I'm learning to protect myself first. It helps me that I know what it's like for people when they're looking a little tired, when they're looking a little out of it. I'm completely patient with them. I'm not abruptly like sympathetic trying to ask them what's wrong or anything like that, but I just give them their space. And I get it. I don't forget when it comes to helping others in that way. So I think I have an intuitive sense now because I went through such a extreme version of an illness. I like this the best. This is my general attitude at this point. I don't need you. You don't need me. It'll just be nice if we could work together. And I think that's kind of the attitude that I purposely give off, and I've been practicing for a long time. So some things that I think that you might be able to use for yourself based on my story is, if you encounter someone like me who is dealing with a lifetime illness, you want to consider what I'm saying very seriously, as though it's something that can happen to you. So even after the call today, if you just take 5 minutes to close your eyes and imagine what it would be like to face the idea of not being able to take care of yourself, what would you do? Who would take care of you? I mean that seriously from the bottom of my heart. If nothing else from this presentation, you start thinking about, well, what are my backup plans if something goes wrong? I think that that would be beneficial for you. I never imagined, I was so young, I was 10 years ago, I'm not gonna tell you how old I am. I was seriously considering my mom coming to take care of me, my elderly mother, my twin girls, and my husband. He works so much that he wouldn't be able to help, and being like a lump on a log. And that was my foreseeable future. Really, I'm not kidding. I've met people with my illness. I've only met 3 so far, and I've spoken to several people online, and none of them are working. None of them have really good prospects. And I've even seen quality of life doctors for my illness, and they're very surprised about the progress that I've made. And they count many reasons for why I'm a little bit more advanced than others in dealing with the issues that I'm dealing with. But generally, that's the other thing I want to say. Consider that when you're talking to somebody with an illness, maybe they're not as driven or as focused as me, or even as you. And you can feel free to share my story to help motivate them, but realize that it took me 7 years of consistent daily practice, hours a day, to get me where I am. And you want to also realize that I had many resources at my disposal that people normally don't have. I already finished my college education. I had a master's in mathematics. I had a husband who could essentially make all the money for us, and we would be just fine. I had a mother who just retired and who would be here for us if we really needed her. a lot of people are not in that situation, and just dealing with the stress of a diagnosis or feeling sick can send them over the edge already. So this is something that I posted today in the team as well. Sometimes a push is the opposite of good, depending on who you're talking to. And sometimes a push is exactly what a person needs. So you have to gauge that, especially when you're talking to somebody who has an illness that they're dealing with on a daily basis. When you address somebody who is dealing with some kind of illness, you want to focus on what you want to say to them. Don't just call them and say, "What's up?" Don't waste their time that way. They're dealing with so much that you could literally throw them off for an hour or two, and then they would turn around and not have enough energy to do what they originally planned to do. I feel like that's disrespectful. And I wouldn't do that to you, and that's why I wanted to prepare and have everything on the PowerPoint, so that I could show you that time is valuable to everybody, but I think even more so for people who realize that maybe their time might be limited, or that they are fighting something and they need their energy. Just listen to them and don't judge them. Share if appropriate. This helps me a lot to hear people say, you know, I didn't really feel like working out today, but here's what made me work out. Or sometimes I don't feel like eating healthy, but I do anyway, because that really helps me out a lot. It makes me feel like, okay, I'm human, they're human. And I can't stress enough to be brief and focused, because they've got so much on their minds that it's almost disrespectful, I feel like. So this is like my second to last slide. Resources I found extremely helpful. I've shared with you in the past on the team that I am involved with Harmony Meditation Center, and we have an audiobook. I've listened to it 30 plus times. It's amazing. There is at least 5 things that you'll find in the audiobook that will help you towards Beachbody coaching. I promise, my personal guarantee. But there are other audiobooks that I found really useful too. So they're here. The Getting More, the GoPro. This book here was not an audiobook, but it is an interesting something to consider if you know of anybody dealing with stomach issues or autism or neurological issues. I actually tried this for 8 months, and it was amazing. It was amazing. My results were great. So I'm not a doctor, but my experience was really good with this strategy for dealing with some of the symptoms I had. There's guided meditation CDs. If you're feeling really stressed out and you pop in a guided meditation CD, a really good one, it can help you see things completely different. And this is one of my favorites here, Buddhist Fun. The other thing I wanted to share with you that I use a lot at home with my kids, with my husband, who is probably listening and laughing, but even with adults that I talk to when I'm trying to just, network. This book here is called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. There are comic cartoon drawings of people using the strategies they suggest in this book, and it is so helpful. It blew my mind when I first read it. So if you have a chance, that's a really good resource. And the last thing I wanted to share was my cubby at school. It's this picture here. I have pictures of me with my kids. I have my Beachbody Emerald Coach certificate here. I have me skydiving. I have an article that was written about me as a volunteer for my public library, and an article that I wrote that got printed in a magazine, along with my degrees and like my math Olympics teams winning their really big trophies at a competition at school. And this to me is like my mural, and I hear a lot of leaders sharing how they get themselves motivated and pumped. And just having this to look at every once in a while, it makes me smile. The students will come over and look at it while I'm teaching class, and they'll ask me questions about stuff, so it makes me more personable to them. And I really love it. And I think it's something that everybody should be doing. Just collect your little motivational memories to keep you going. Other than And I wanted to share some organizational tools because I do have a neurological disorder. It's hard for me to stay focused, and that's why I made the PowerPoint slide. In addition to, I didn't want to waste your time. It's because I can lose my train of thought very easily. So I organize everything. So I want to show you real quick this OneNote screen here. This is my daily list of things that I do. So I did different check boxes for different days, and you can see I have my workout, my meditation, my power of threes, which I haven't been doing lately because I was working on my PowerPoint. This is something that I do so I can remember to post on my social media sites. I have several, and that's a strategy that I've been kind of fooling around with. I don't know if it's been really helpful to me or not, but I think at the very least, the people who are closer to me find I'm more professional because of the different kinds of posts that I've been posting. So I don't know if my outreach is growing more than the people I was already in contact with are just seeing me as more serious about what I'm doing. I also wanted to mention that I have a blog. I don't necessarily post direct Beachbody material, but I do talk about exercising and cooking and the things I'm doing to try to stay in shape. If you like some of the other posts that I've been posting as far as being mindful, you can go to this website here, brainhavefun.org, and you can find other blogs that are similar to those kinds of topics, and they give you pointers and just a different way to think about things. And you can also go to www.brainhavefun.com to find out more information on these CDs and books if you were interested in them. Oh, I forgot. Here. This is something that I haven't heard anybody say yet. So I wanted to share with you. I record myself when I'm teaching, when I'm speaking to people on the phone, when I'm doing anything professional that I want to improve on. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to hear how many times I go so I can adjust it. And I also want to hear my tone. Because I'm trained to be more mindful, and I've been training for about 4 years now, I want to hear at what point my tone may change from being upbeat and level-headed to maybe feeling deterred, a little less energetic, and what it was that made that happen. This, for me, has been a huge breakthrough with my students more than with people on the phone. But I think that if you were on the phone with people, you would want to know what triggers maybe different kind of reaction from you and the way you sound to them. So you're kind of reflecting outside of the moment so that you can decide, well, the next time that happens, how can I address it differently so that I don't sound that way again? Because our tones when we speak have a big impact on how people perceive us. So I think that that's an excellent strategy if you ever want to try it. Let me know how it goes because I love it. So in closing, I already said I've been training for over 4 years now to look beyond my questions, a problem I'm facing, a conversation I'm having, or something I'm trying to sell. I'm more trying to better myself in everything that I face, and that includes the relationships that I'm building. Something that came up several times while I'm training over the last several years and in GoPro, the book, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. So I'm on my way, but I'm nowhere near perfect. I know it. But I feel like I've made a really good amount of progress, and anybody who's witnessed it will vouch for me. And they tell me all the time how fabulous it is to see me be the way that I am now. we're not very different from each other. And I think essentially we all want the same things. We want love, we want respect. Yet, you can at least do what I can do, and you can do more. So being 100% of anything to me is irrelevant. I don't need to be 100% healthy. I don't need to be 100% fit. I don't need to be 100% great eater. And actually that's kind of boring, I'm finding. So this is a lot about what Jen posts often too, that you should keep your character. Don't lose it. People love it. And as long as you're progressing, that equals higher quality. And for me, I'm finding that I'm doing less. Even though I'm doing more effectively, I am doing less. I am much more focused. I don't spend time on things that I find aren't going to help me later just because I don't want to use my energy for that. I could have been in a place where I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So I love doing it. I love interacting with you, every single one of you on this call. I'm so glad I've had this opportunity to do that. And I wouldn't give it up for the world. So to summarize, all of my goals and actions are really well aligned to Beachbody's 3 vital behaviors. And I think that if I continue to do that and just persevere forward, I think I can do this. And I'm here to help you if you have any questions or if you have any comments.
How long have you been a coach, Lisa?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you. Hold on a second. Let me do a mental. I think I started in May, but I have a very poor memory. So I remember it was before June, and I can't remember if it was April or May.
Oh, so less than a year.
Yeah, 6 months.
Well, I give you props for what you're figuring out this fast. That's all I gotta say.
Does anyone else have any other questions? I thank you, Lisa. That was a lot more put together than I've ever done. I'm like uber impressed.
That makes me happy.
Yes, very good. Does anyone have any questions? Please don't be afraid to ask, and now is the chance. I always say that if you can't, if you got questions, you need to ask.
I think these slides would be really cool. Like some way she can upload it in the group. I mean, it has Lisa. It should definitely be like Lisa's like method or something. But I think it's really. I think it's really helpful, and I think it was really, really awesome and put together.
Oh, Amber, you're so patient. Yeah, if you would like to, if you want to upload that, that would be awesome. Completely up to you if you want to. You can just put it in the files, and then you can label it whatever you want, and then people can always use it as, a resource for them to get information too, because there's a lot of really good information. Does anyone else have any questions? Sarah, did you unmute? Did you have a question? No? Okay. Anyone else? Does anyone else have anything they need to or want to discuss for the team call? Otherwise, since it is done a little bit early, we can end the call. But unless anybody else has anything else they want to bring up while on the call.
So one thing that I'm thinking of now, there was a question on Dora's call that came up about, and I don't remember who asked it. They were saying that, what if people are objecting to purchasing Shakeology because they say something like, well, we didn't need this way back when, we survived just fine. right? Without this Shakeology, without this working out business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think I was thought about that a lot while I was putting this PowerPoint together, because that kind of is what a lot of people are saying when I get objections. It's like, well, I don't need this fancy thing, or I do just fine my way. Based on my experience, when you're desperate, you kind of look for a way that's going to be this miraculous kind of thing. And like I said earlier, people who are normally healthy, they don't consider that they may need this extra lifeline at some point. But even if you're not sick and you're healthy and you think that you're here just to survive, you know, I would strongly disagree with that. And I would say, no, I'm not here to survive. That's not the point. Especially here in America, there's really nobody that I know. I mean, I have some students on some, in some home issues, but nobody I know really is starving. There's food. There's no need for this survival attitude objection that people are bringing up. So I think that the focus should be on quality of life. Yeah, you can eat well and you can work out other ways. You don't need this fancy thing if that's what you consider it. But for me, if it's going to give me the competitive edge that I need to get better faster, or to reach my goals in a much quicker time to keep me more motivated to keep going, then I think that I want that edge. And you need to respect people who are not agreeing with you because they have their difference of opinion, and still wish them well, and still ask, you know, can we still share stories about your progress and maybe compare some strategies later? That was something that was brought up in the past as a question that I think wasn't fully addressed in a way that I would have addressed it. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Nope. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'm going to end the call. And again, Lisa, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
I
you all.
appreciate it a ton. And when you want to upload this, that would be awesome. Yep, Cassandra says thank you on the little chat down here. I don't know if you're able to see anything everybody's wrote in there.
No.
Diana just said years ago we ate a lot better homegrown foods and less chemicals. Andrea said she agrees. She was raised on a farm. Finding families who grow their own gardens and kill their meat is rare. And then Diana and Cassandra said, thank you, Lisa. Okay, so I'm going to end this call, and then I will get this uploaded into YouTube and get it posted within our group. It usually has to run through the night. It takes forever for this to upload. So, and I'll post it tomorrow so that other people can watch it. I know a lot of people were hoping they could get on the call and they weren't able to tonight. So, again, thank you so much, Lisa.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.